Hey everybody, Ian Lee here. Hope y'all are doing well. In this episode, I want to talk about the extra note rules some more. And there's an episode I put out just a couple back called Bending the Extra Note Rules. So I guess this is like part 2 to that, although I didn't intend to make it in parts. It's just what's coming up. I was just teaching the same guitar student that I was teaching when I came up with the other ideas from the last video where I added the extra note rules to a minor pentatonic scale. And, you know, one of the cool things about the extra note rules is, well, a lot of the concepts, not even a lot, I'd say all the concepts that Barry Harris came up with and has explored and has given to the world is that they're malleable, they're flexible, they're extremely flexible. And when you understand the essential ideas behind them, the core context, you can really begin to manipulate them to make up your own ideas, exercises. I mean, that's what's great about his stuff, is it's extremely freeing. So I was just teaching the student some arpeggios today on the guitar, some dominant 7 arpeggios. And I was telling him, you know, we could essentially do extra note rules with arpeggios if we want. We don't have to just add them to scales. I mean, maybe that's not the right way to look at it in terms of the terminology, but you know, why not? You know, at the end of the day, words are words, and this is just, we're playing with music, which is sound. So we're just trying to come up with ways for how do we describe the sounds so we can have a common understanding and learn the language of those that have come before us and innovate our own ways to speak in that language. So, for example, if I take this C7, really nice common little shape there for us guitar players. Well, okay, let's look at like some of the basic ideas behind Barry's extra note rules. One reason that they seem to exist is that we're landing on a downbeat. It's not chord tones on a specific degree or anything, I don't think, but one of the main things he goes for is landing on a downbeat. Okay, so if we just were to play these 4 notes, 1 and 2 and, or play them backwards, however we want to do it, 1 and 2 and, we're landing on an upbeat. So what we need to do, we need to add 1 extra note to make that downbeat occur. So we can put that extra note anywhere. We can go, let's ascend, since last time we were doing descending extra note rules. So let's go 1 and 2 and 3. So I just put a half step below the dominant 7. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, well I could do, you know, anytime you can do 1 extra note, you can do 3 extra notes. So how about we have 2 extra notes in between the 3rd and the 5th of the arpeggio, so why not go 1 and 2 and 3 and da, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you're just kind of filling in the space is a great way to look at that. I mean, yes, you are playing the major scale and you're adding that extra note there, but in moments like this, instead of thinking about the scale, since I'm contemplating the arpeggio, I think it's simpler to just think about it. We have this boundary and we're just filling in the space. I think it's a simpler way to think about it, especially when it comes to a moment of improvising and you're just seeing these things and flowing with that moment and that intuition and playing, you know, by your ear essentially, and the things you practiced. So there's all these wonderful things we can see with this stuff. Let's see, let's go to the upper half of that. I at least consider, so we have, I consider that the upper half of the arpeggio, right? So let's see, 1 and 2 and 3. Let's call that the arpeggio, right? So you can, anytime, you know, you can, it's all mobile, so you can do anything you want with any of it. So let's call, we're doing 1, 3, 5, 7, 1 the arpeggio, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 and 2 and 3 is what I meant to say. My apologies. So now we are landing on an extra note, so we don't need any. So we could add 2. You can always do 0 or 2 in that instance. So how can we do this? Well, we could add and fill in the gaps. We can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's cool. Or we could just do 0. right? And then we could also do the same thing descending. A lot of great stuff there. So the point of this video is, you know, like all my videos, they're to inspire and to encourage you to find your own way through these things and to make up your own ideas, make up your own little ways to practice and get through things. Yes, making up your own phrases over tunes, sure. Make up your own ways to play through scales. I mean, we have to have the foundation of these things available. Like my guitar student, you know, he just learned this stuff. So for him, he needs to get it under his fingers first. But once you get the fingering down and you get the feel for it and you're playing in time and all that, explore, expand, see what you can come up with. Start combining things. So like one thing I was telling him was, you know, in the last video, the bending the extra note rules, I added extra note rules to the minor pentatonic scale. So I was telling him, like, combine the arpeggios with the minor pentatonic scale and use those extra note rules there. So I can go, let's see, I'll start on the third. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's see, 1 and 2. So I would need to do no extra notes there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's cool, right? I mean, that's fun. We could do one extra note there, because that's typically where I'd put it if I were practicing like that. So I could do a half step below the third. All these wonderful little opportunities and options to be playful. So you're not only practicing and getting into what I like to call more disciplined practice. We're getting into the things that we're, okay, we need to hash out these things, get our fingers grounded into these ideas, into these sounds. But simultaneously, you're exploring your own creativity and your own personal voice and expression, which I think is equally as important, you know? I mean, you could run scales all day. There's nothing wrong with that, but be creative with it. Run scale ideas, run patterns, bend these things that you're learning. Take an idea you learned from Barry Harris and from some other teacher, even if they're completely conflicting. Even if you think Barry Harris might go, that's a terrible idea, I don't believe in that. And the other teacher's like, I don't agree with Barry Harris. So what? Be yourself. Concoct your own ideas. Follow your own intuition and your own heart in this instance, and have some fun. All right, I'll talk to you all soon.